if you want to make it in this industry, he's like, just work your ass off and be easy to work with and be nice to everyone you meet. And he's like, you will do fine. And those are 3 things I still live by.
Mark Yang, appreciate the chance to dive into all the topics around video marketing, freelancing.
I truthfully believe that anyone can freelance. It's just like getting the sustainability part down. Every videographer, filmmaker, creator, anything, we all have our own voice. Let your voice speak for itself. Like, show the world what you can do. And that's enough to separate yourself. Because like, we're all different. If you do this one thing, you'll stand out like that. You'll see the light bulb go off in their head. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I never thought of it like that. I'm like, yeah, you can have the best ad in the world, but if you don't know how to follow up with those leads, you're just wasting your money, honestly. And the biggest thing is people buy people. You putting yourself out there is already making you stand out from your competitors. What's important is whatever you're doing, just make sure you're having fun with it. I make enough to pay my bills, and every day just doesn't feel like work. And for me, that's enough.
All right, Mark Yang, thank you so much for taking some time today. I know you're very busy, so appreciate the chance to dive into all the topics around video marketing, freelancing, and just really looking forward to it.
Yeah, thanks for having me. This is actually the first podcast I've ever done.
Really?
Ever. Yeah.
That's been the case for a lot of the guests I've had. I didn't realize that you might not always get the opportunity to go on a podcast. So it's a unique chance for people. So.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I think it's going to be fun.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. So we're here at Leaf and Loft, which I know you're on the team here. Mm-hmm. And I recorded a podcast here back in August. And that's where, I met Victoria, who is going to be a guest in a little bit. And Sam Interante was here as well. I did a podcast with him. And then I heard about you, being on the team through that. And then, we followed each other on Instagram. I've been checking out your work and, just following along with your journey since then. But I'd love to just start with, diving into your background and how you got into, the video space mm-hmm. and marketing. Cause, we actually don't know each other's backgrounds. So, we were talking about it a little bit before, but let's just dive into that. Like, what sparked that creativity, early on? Were you always creative? Did you have like a sense that this is what you were going to do for a career? And what's your education background? Did you study this formally? And then we can go from there. Yeah,
for sure. So the first time that I knew, so I got into video my senior year of high school. So I was on the morning announcements team. I signed up. I thought it was before signing up, I thought it was so fun that I got to see these students just make their little, we called it After AM. That was our announcements show. Mm-hmm. So I went to After High School, born and raised Lancaster County. And yeah, being a junior in high school, I saw all of the seniors making their own little intros for After AM. And I was like, I love making stuff. I want to make an intro. So really my motivation to join was, I get to make After AM intros. So I signed up senior year, a week before classes started. We show up to After AM, we get taught how to use the cameras and things like that. And long story short, we started making our intros for After AM, and I was having so much fun because I just did whatever I wanted. And I asked my teacher, Mr. Myers, I was like, hey, Mr. Myers, do people get paid for this? He's like, yeah. And right then and there, I was like, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life. So that was about 1 week into senior year, is that I knew I just wanted to work with videos or video cameras, videos, anything. I didn't really know what kind of career was possible. I just kind of in the moment knew that, hey, I would love to be a videographer for my local news channel. I literally did not know what other positions were available at that time. People make movies and stuff, but I didn't even think about that. I was like, I'll just be a news videographer because mm-hmm. that's kind of what I was familiar with. But yeah, my love really grew from that because I think for me as a young 18-year-old, it was having an idea and then being able to transform that into an actual thing on screen was I was like, wow, I get to make things happen. And yeah, ever since then, it's kind of stuck. I've loved it. Still love it.
Yeah, we have I can totally relate to that sense of just feeling deep down that you have a passion for this. And then when you realize that you can make money doing it, like I often have to pinch myself, like sometimes where I'm like, you're going to pay me to edit this video or pay me to show up and produce your video and you like use cameras. I just love it. Which, you know, I wish that for everybody, like that's that people discover what that is for them. And, you know, it might have seemed a little bit frivolous earlier on where I was like making videos with my siblings in the backyard and doing iMovie effects and trying to replicate stuff from movies. But I've realized that all of that was like a part of the journey and continuing to build up like my skill set or whatever. And then starting to apply like business principles around that to turn it into a career, which, you know, I'd love to dive into that. But what are your thoughts on educating yourself as a creative in terms of acquiring the skill set? Because, you know, I feel like there's two aspects of this. Like there's the creative component, like you have to be able to produce good work. You have to know how to edit. You have to have a good like equipment kit if you're going to be doing production, and you have to learn how to do that well. And then you have to implement that into a business model as a creative, you know, whether if you're working for yourself and marketing yourself, or even if you're working like a 9 to 5 in video production, you know, you still have to have the people skills and other things just beyond the creativity. And you have to learn how to do all of that. So I know it's a very general question, but like, what are your thoughts on like the traditional route of college, YouTube, networking events? Like what's worked for you in terms of educating yourself?
So me personally, I went to Millersville University. I majored in communications broadcasting. And I don't know, there's so many avenues to kind of explore when you're in our field. So it's like, for me, where I'm at now, if I'm looking back, did I need to go to college? To be honest, no. I did, but at the same time, I was able to make the connections that kind of like put me on the path where I am now as well. So in terms of learning things, I will say I learned more after graduating college on YouTube. I always call it YouTube University. It's free. But in terms of meeting the right people, the college helped with that. So, for example, like I was an intern at Aurora Films. Shout out to them. I was an intern there, and they really opened my mind to like film production. So prior to working at Aurora Films, I only thought I was going to work in news, as I mentioned before. And then when I graduated college, I was like, I'm just going to work at a news station. I didn't know anything else outside of that. I don't know why. I just never did my research. But it was when I got an internship at Aurora that they opened my mind to film production, because my first day on set, I was like, whoa, this is a thing in my hometown. And that's really what kickstarted my journey into filmmaking. So like my major, communications broadcasting, technically that's working in TV. Right. I'm working in film. So like I'm kind of doing I'm kind of working in my major, but if we're being super technical about it, not really, because I'm not working in TV. But I will say if you're really trying to focus on actual like filmmaking, like working on movies, working on sets and things like that, I think film school is definitely beneficial. Again, it's not needed, but let's say, for example, if you go to Temple and do their film production course or program, I know that Temple graduates are really, really well connected. I did a short film with a bunch of Temple students, and like now a lot of them are doing big stuff. The one guy does just nothing but high-end commercials in California. So I think it kind of depends where you go. I have another friend who freelances now. He never went to college. Super successful DP in the area. Shout out to Handi Zapata. But yeah, so it's like, I think it just kind of depends, really, but where you kind of want to go with it. But I don't think you need an education per se for this. Yeah, I learned everything on YouTube, whether that was learning how to use a DSLR camera to how to edit, things like that. And then in terms of learning how to run a business, that's just networking with the right people. So you'll notice as your natural progression in life goes from like, oh, let me start doing something that's fun to getting paid a little bit more. You're like, well, I'm getting paid too much. How do I do my taxes? And then you naturally kind of like meet the right people along the way that really provide you with that wisdom that you need. Because when you first start freelancing, everyone's going to be like network, network, network. So you, again, like I said, you naturally network and you meet the right people to help you along the way. Mm-hmm. Does that kind of answer?
Yeah, absolutely. I noticed when you said that you were interested in broadcasting and that because that was all you really knew and you weren't like exposed to different parts of the film video industry. Like what I always tell people is none of the experiences or jobs that you take are going to be wasted, like especially early on, because you're figuring out what parts of the industry that you enjoy and which ones you don't, and you're not going to learn what those are unless you try a bunch of different things. So, I think as time goes on and you build your skill set and your network, this is part of my journey of the past like 2 years, I have been sort of like niching down to like refine my work a little bit and saying no a little bit more. But I think early on, like I tell people, you just have to do as many things as possible, like real estate videos, corporate music videos, narrative short films, like social media ads, podcasts, and just then you'll figure out what you are good at, what you enjoy doing, and then more importantly, like the clients that you enjoy serving, and if you can get like an ROI for them and really, unlock the capabilities beyond just, okay, I'm interested in this, and you're actually crafting it into a career. So I don't know if you can I'm sure you can relate to that as time has gone on. So.
Yeah. The hardest part for I think any freelancer is always getting started. So obviously there's the fear and then the part where you have to get past that fear and go. Like you just go, go, go. So when I first started, I didn't have a plan B. Again, a little bit just short, like long story short of my background is I interned at Aurora Films, graduated college, I freelanced for a little bit. The well dried up. And I was like, what am I going to do now? I had to get a normal office job. Fortunately, I was able to save up enough money to buy some camera gear. And also, I'm very fortunate that my parents let me live at home. So I was able to live at home and really nurture my career. So I wasn't like, oh, I got to pay rent or anything like that. I'm just, again, so blessed to have my parents who let me live rent free with them forever. Not forever, but for a little bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was like really beneficial into starting my business because I wasn't stressed out about bills or anything. So I could take my time because with freelancing now, it's like, I always tell people it's easier to start young when you have less responsibilities to freelance versus like my one friend who's starting when he's a little older, he has a family and things like that. So it's like for him, it's like, there's a lot of pressure into providing when you're a freelancer. But yeah, for anyone who's, tuning in, it's, the younger you are, the better it is to start freelancing. So that way you can just kind of like by the time you have a lot more responsibilities, like financially, you can take care of those problems. I think, a lot of people with freelancing, a lot of people are often like scared and, I always say, yeah, you're always going to be on your toes. But yeah, I mean, freelancing is great. It's a great way to, chase your passions. I think I'm losing a little bit of kind of where we're going.
It's all good. Yeah. I mean, freelancing is all I've ever known. And just to give you like a quick summary of my background, because, we're just, learning each other's backgrounds. I did 2 years of college. My first year was at Messiah University in Mechanicsburg, was Messiah College at the time. And then I transferred and did a year at Temple in their film program. And I'm from outside of Philadelphia. So I was able to commute, like take the train in and, live with my parents for that year. And I mean, it was a financial decision transferring to Temple because Messiah was really expensive. But that year in Messiah was amazing in terms of I took some production classes. I have like very dear friends that I met there. And even in the film space, like we were talking about, like Nathan, I met so many great people there, which I think I tell people like, yeah, you get what you put into it in terms of the classes, but the people you meet in college are going to be like the most long lasting, in my opinion, from the time that I spent there. Like really invest in meeting as many people as you can, like-minded people that actually have the same like drive. Because some people are in the film program, just, oh, it's movies, that seems cool. And then a month later, they're like, this is not for me. Like the people that are really like, you know, they have that fire that you do. Like that's going to be like really powerful to like collaborate with people like that and extend that beyond your college days. But then, yeah, just like wrap up my quick story. It was May 2020 was my second semester that I did at Temple, and then everything went online. And I had considered doing a gap year like out of high school, but it was very unpopular at the time just because of peer pressure. You know, it's like a competition. How many schools did you apply to? How many schools did you?
Right.
And I, you know, had only applied to one like a month before I graduated, which was Messiah, which is where I went. You know, I took the SAT once. I was just totally like, I'm going to just go for it freelancing, because my parents have owned a graphic design company for, you know, 30 years at this point. So they had some of their clients, they mostly do websites, but some of their clients needed video. So I was able to like get my feet wet with stuff like that in high school, freelancing. And I thought maybe I could do this myself. But, you know, I don't think that it's easy. I think there were parts of my journey that allowed me to ease into a career as a freelancer a little bit easier, because I have creative entrepreneur parents who are willing to support me in what I wanted to do. And I had freelance gigs like in high school that I was able to build off of going into it full time, which I don't take any of that for granted. But I think like if I'm speaking, it's like you said, people that are trying to freelance and, you know, if they have a family already or they're a little bit older or they don't have any clients and they're just leaving their corporate job, you know, that's totally different from like my story. So I don't want to judge anybody who's like, I'm a little bit nervous to start freelancing right now because like you might not have all of that in order. So yeah, I don't know. Like, do you have any thoughts on, you know, if people come to you and they're like, I want to be a full-time freelancer, but like, do you think there's one size fits all principles that can be applied to like success as a freelancer, regardless of what your background is, that are just like, that have been key to your success being able to do it full time?
I mean, I truthfully believe that anyone can freelance. It's just like getting the sustainability part down. Mm-hmm. That's always the hardest part. It's like I mentioned before, I think it's like, it's easier financially to start when you're a little younger freelancing, but it's never too late. I always say if you start freelancing, just hit the ground running and keep going for it, because the moment you take your foot off the gas, you're going to kind of just eliminate any momentum you have. Right. But yeah, I mean, in terms of freelancing, I think anyone can do it no matter what stage in life you are in. Obviously, as we mentioned, it's a little more difficult if you have more financial responsibilities. But yeah, I think just taking that first step is what is the most important in terms of freelancing. And really, like I mentioned before, it's like you want to go in with the mindset like, I don't have a plan B. Like this, if this doesn't work out, I don't know what I'm going to do. So that was my journey. I was just like, I literally like felt like I clawed and scratched my way to be where I'm at now, because I just didn't have any other plan besides filmmaking or freelancing at that point. Mm-hmm. Yeah, does that answer the question?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I felt like I had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder being a college dropout, that I had to work 10 times harder than everyone else to make it, you know, like in the business, which looking back on it, it's kind of like you just have to work hard regardless, even if you have a degree. But I think that worked to my advantage in terms of like, if I get a prospective lead or a referral, it's like, I'm going to put 110% into this to make sure that I land this client and I retain them for a long time, and like really take pride in my services, like the quality of work, the communication, and just everything, and like not let this opportunity slip through my fingers because I may not get another one. And I've kind of shifted to having like an abundance versus scarcity mindset as time has gone on. But like when I was first starting, and because, I was getting some clients through my parents' business, which was just like handed to me through like nepotism, I guess. It was nepotism. But now, like as time went on and I was like, wow, I'm actually getting people reaching out directly to me. I was like, okay, this is the next step. And I'm actually building that reputation of being known as someone who can provide a service based on work that I've done, not just because, they know my parents.
Right.
So, but like I said, that was a great way to ease into it, which other people might not have. And I mean, one thing I might say is like, yes, you can go all in on it, but maybe, and it's easy for me to say like, as like a single guy right now, I just have to like take care of myself. And, if you have a family, it can be a lot more complicated. So I don't want to like oversimplify anything, but you have a lot more time than you realize. So if you're working a full-time job, you can get freelance gigs on the side and build that up before you quit your 9-to-5 job. Like that would be a form of easing into it for some people, is just making time for what's important to you. You can build your brand on the side and get your own clients on the side, if your 9-to-5 allows it,
Right.
Which it might not. But like you can do those simultaneously. It doesn't have to necessarily be like a light switch in terms of like, okay, I'm quitting my 9-to-5 and I'm going right into it. It was just a big word salad right there, but yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I should have mentioned that. Yeah. So it is that natural progression of like you do your 9-to-5, you start freelancing on the side, and then eventually it comes kind of like 50-50, where 50 you go part-time and then you do freelancing part-time. And eventually you get to the point where you're just like, I can quit my part-time job and really focus on the freelancing part. So that's like the more steady way of doing it. Versus just cold turkey, which is a little dangerous sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, like to your words, yeah, that is like a natural progression that, if you do want to start freelancing, but you're a little bit, hesitant or something, definitely try that out. Again, all we have is time. There's plenty of time that you can work into that. I mean, my one friend is an environmental engineer, so you can assume how much work that involves, but he has time for filmmaking, and like he makes it work. So
yeah, let's talk about ways to stand out as a freelancer, because I always say like it's not too difficult to find a videographer, someone that has a camera and can shoot video, and you have to find these differentiating factors in the way that you market yourself or the experience of working with you. And, we were talking about before recording that you can position yourself as being more than a button presser and actually focusing on getting an ROI for your clients. So I guess this is like a two-faceted question. First of all, can you talk about the work that you've been doing recently, like the types of businesses that you work with, and that whole mindset of using video as a vehicle to actually get an ROI, whether it's like a financial ROI or like sometimes you do a video for awareness or signups for an event or something like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be like financial, but there should be some goal that's achieved through the video production process. So can you talk about ways to differentiate yourself, like, and how you've been applying that to your own business to get results for your clients?
For sure. Yeah. So, I mean, there's two parts to this for my business, but the first part of like separating yourself, at the end of the day, it's always going to come down to your work. People are going to see your work. They're going to be like, oh, like, I love how your video looks. Obviously my style isn't, we'd all be very lucky if everyone loved our work, right? But it's not like that. So I always say, yeah, if you really want to stand out, it's like, it comes down to the work and the style that your work is. There's going to be people that resonate with it, and there's going to be people that don't like it. But, we're, as creators, we're fortunate enough that people who do like our work want to work with us. So I think, again, it really comes down to just kind of how you portray what your work looks like, whether that's in the color grading or how you edit things or your storytelling. Again, every videographer, filmmaker, creator, anything, we all have our own voice, and like, let your voice speak for itself. Like, show the world what you can do. And that's enough to separate yourself. Because like, we're all different. Your work and my work don't look the same. Like, Like, see what I mean? So it's like, just focus on building we always say, building your look in terms of like, if that's your color grading, like I mentioned, or just kind of how you edit. That's really the first step in like separating yourself. And I think also it's like how you work with people. So I like to think I'm easy to work with, and I've had clients say, "Oh, you're so easy to work with." I think that goes a long way because it's true. When I used to work in movie sets, words that stuck to me still, and this is like almost 10 years ago. I had a prop master. His name's Nando. He said, "Mark, if you want to make it in this industry," he's like, "just work your ass off and be easy to work with and be nice to everyone you meet." And he's like, "You will do fine." And those are 3 things I still live by. And I think it's true. I mean, like, if you're just easy to work with, people are going to want to keep working with you, right? So honestly, that's another really easy way to stand out, is just be easy to work with. Be a go-getter. Just do whatever you're told. Like if they say, "Hey, go get this," like instead of walking, run. That's an example. Don't take it literally. But yeah, just like run and get it done. Like show that you're like so valuable. Yeah, just show whoever you're working for that like man, like I need him to keep working with me. So that's how you stand out. Is again, just being a good worker.
So like being memorable.
Yeah. You want to be memorable. Again, going back to that same feature. Talking to Nando, I was like, honestly, Mark, he's like, I don't remember the other 2 PAs' names, but I remember your name because you ran around like a headless chicken. So yeah, just again, that's an easy way to stand out, is just doing things other people don't do. It sounds cliche, but it's true.
It's really simple.
Yeah. And then the second part is you talk about getting ROI or focusing on that side.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, in terms of client work, every client is different. They're all going to want different things. Like we talked about before recording this, I work a lot with brands, whether that's nonprofits or restaurants. I work with agencies as well. So my line of work is kind of all over the place. But I think what keeps bringing them back, at least my creative clients, is that they want good-looking pieces for whatever their service is, and they like what they get. But outside of that too, is I've shifted my business, half of it, or I would say part of it, into more marketing. So being a filmmaker for the past 10 years, all I've ever done is create content for people. And I've been fortunate that they keep coming back. Now I could never measure that ROI, if I'm being honest with you, in terms of like, making a pretty video for the website. I never asked them like, "Oh, what did you guys do with it? Oh, like, did it actually do what it was supposed to do?" Because, I give it to my clients, and hopefully their marketing team can do whatever they want with it if they have one. So literally, this is probably 3 months ago at the time of recording this, is that I was sitting there. I'm like, all right, well, I want to help my clients more, and any new clients I bring on, I want to help them out too to get an ROI. So how can I do that? And also, I'm trying to be a little bit more of an entrepreneur. So I was like, what are other avenues that I can make more money? I was like, there's social media marketing. And for me, I was like, that could work. So I did buy a course that taught me everything I need to know about social media marketing, specifically Instagram, because the clients that I'm trying to work with now, I mean, their Instagram game is not that great. And a lot of their competitors aren't utilizing Instagram to its full potential. So that's why I started doing the social media marketing, like specifically on Instagram. It's because I can show these clients, I'm like, hey, like, look, here are your competitors and here are their Instagrams. And here's your Instagram, which looks just like theirs. So I'm like, if you do this one thing, you'll stand out like that. And I show them multiple. I show them their biggest competitors. So I always say, like, you're coming onto this platform, Instagram, and your biggest competitor isn't even active. So what does it mean to you if you come on here and take over the market on Instagram for the local area? You'll see the light bulb go off in their head. They're like, oh, never thought of it like that. Like, yeah. So that's a little bit of why I wanted to focus into the Instagram marketing with the ROIs, because I want my clients at the end of the day to make money for their business, because they hire me to hopefully make them more money. And I always say, like, if my client wins, I win.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a little bit of like the motivation behind like why I want to get ROI for my clients.
Yeah, I think the industry as a whole is headed towards more video strategy and as opposed to videography. Just, because videography will be there for a while, but what you were just describing is implementing strategy and recognizing something that they're not doing that would, drastically change the outcome or put them on a different path if they were just making a tweak here and there. And I think that is a component of like a video service that is so important, and people just like, obviously the quality of the work is so important, and it's like a prerequisite to success, I think. But then it's like building blocks on top of that are what you were just talking about is the strategy. So I love all that. Have you used, so can you talk about, the Instagram ads that you've been running, for yourself? I wanted to ask about lead gen as a freelancer. So, there's LinkedIn, website, just cold email, paid ads. There's a bunch of different ways to get your name out there. Can you talk about what's worked for you, and specifically the Instagram ad side of it as a strategy for marketing yourself?
For sure. So I'll start off with just kind of like how I got work prior to launching ads.
Yeah, great.
So yeah, I mean, my career has honestly been word of mouth. I've been very fortunate to meet the right people that need work and who like working with me, and they provide a lot of the work, as well as, you'll get some random leads that come in. I forgot to mention that for the past 10 years, I was actually doing wedding videos. So that was a lot of my income starting out, was just getting into weddings. I stopped doing weddings last year. So 2024 was really my last year of doing like all weddings and stuff. But yeah, weddings was, they're kind of their own beast, and that's really word of mouth. But on top of that, like I was able to sprinkle in commercial work, and the commercial work started to grow from like 30% of my income to 40 to 50 to 60. And I was like, oh man, like I can leave weddings. I can make that push to commercial. So I just made that push. And like I said, I was able to, like, again, networking is so important because I was able to meet the right people that can bring me work. And like, I'm so grateful for them as well. I always tell every videographer I meet, and they're like, dude, how do I get more work? I'm like, honestly, meet a photographer, because these photographers, a lot of them, their clients will ask them for video work, and either they don't know how to do it or they'll outsource it. So if you get along with them and they get along with you, like they're most likely going to end up hiring you to do it. They handle the client interaction, but you still get paid to do your job. So that's like a really great way for me to get work. One of my photographer friends, shout out to Jen Foster, she's awesome. But yeah, her and I work together a lot. So we're like a photo video team, which also separates us from some of our other competitors because we offer photo and video, whereas some just do strictly one or the other. We work with a bunch of different brands as well. So, but yeah, it's great. And then also working with agencies are a great way for, different avenues of income. Agencies, they kind of handle everything, and then you literally show up and shoot, say, here's a hard drive, see ya, bye.
Yeah, the agencies already have the clients.
Yes,
so, yeah.
They already have the clients. They just need videographers or filmmakers. So working with agencies has been great. And then like I said, just working with my own little clients here and there. And then what really made me shift to Instagram. So my marketing business and video they're two kind of different things. So my Instagram marketing side of my business that I've recently just started, I will say it focuses less on like making a masterpiece video. Like, this is social media content. So the difference between like making a beautiful brand film versus social media content, right? Yeah, it's less pre-production and things like that, because with social media, like, it has to look good, but it's really more to catch the attention of the audience. So with my Instagram ads, my marketing services essentially is marketing consultant. So the course that I joined taught me everything I need to know, and I just transformed that into, I launched an ad for myself that I offer marketing consulting to whoever clients. So whatever, if they're looking to grow their business, like my ad is meant to bring in those type of clients. So they're looking to grow their business. They're looking for strategies that work to grow their business. They're not coming here to looking for a video. So that's what's a little bit different about this side. It's a little bit more, it's really just focused on growing businesses and, again, making them an ROI versus making them like a beautiful video to live on their website. Like, I will say this, like, at the end of the day, I'm not trying to make these clients a beautiful video for their website. I want to make them Instagram content that's going to convert sales and just bring in leads for them.
Totally different approach. Yeah.
Completely different approach. So I might have worded it weird, but don't make it think that like, oh, he's doing less quality work. It's different work.
Right.
Like when I film things for Instagram, it's a little bit of a different process versus when I'm doing like a branding film for another corporate company. It's just, again, they just have different purposes. Like they naturally just kind of have different looks for social media. But yeah, using my ad for my marketing purposes has been able to bring in a lot of inbound leads for me versus, before word of mouth, you're just kind of sitting there hoping word comes to you. So the thing I always say with word of mouth is that, you can live off word of mouth, and I've been fortunate to be able to do that, but it doesn't become predictable. It's not predictable. And at the same time, it's like eventually it caps out because you can only get so much work from the people versus if you really invest yourself, let's say into marketing in general, it really opens up that different avenue of like, you can get more work here and there and different things like that. So it becomes, if you have the right strategy, it becomes predictable of like, hey, I know that I'm going to be able to land a job here. I know that I'm going to be able to land X amount of jobs this month because you're getting an influx of inbound leads.
Right.
So with my marketing side, I'm able to, let me think, I'm getting at least 3 to 5 leads a day. So obviously, like, do I close them? Not all of them. We'd be very lucky if we can close every single lead that comes in.
Right.
But yeah, with the marketing strategy that I'm implementing, I'm able to get myself like good 3 to 5 good leads a day coming in. And again, that's what I offer, that marketing side. That's what I offer to the clients that are coming in as well. So for my clients that want to work with me strictly for marketing, I'm like, all right, well, these are the strategies that I can implement for you. This is what I can teach you. I literally run the same strategy for myself that I would for you. So obviously, like, you and I are here, it works because we're talking to each other. I can do that for you. Whereas, I'm a little more B2B. My clients would be a little bit more like B2C.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's so powerful what you just said. When if you're on a sales call or something and you say, well, we wouldn't be talking right now if it works, because that's why we're here. And I've started to implement something a little bit similar. It's the whole notion of like practicing what you preach, because I've primarily been focusing on podcast production recently, and I consider having my own functioning podcast a form of marketing for myself because it shows that I truly believe in it. And I do, that like having like the benefits of having a podcast for a brand on a bunch of different levels, what that brings to the table. And if, I've basically all my business has been through word of mouth. So similar to you, but I've thought about if I were to put an offer together around this, then, I should really be accumulating like my own podcast episodes. And if someone discovers that, it's like, okay, Dylan's the podcast guy. He has his own podcast. That says a lot about him, as opposed to if I didn't, and I didn't like have any podcasting equipment, it doesn't necessarily mean that the work I would do is bad, but it's just it's entirely subconscious to the person viewing, if I were to run an ad and they were to click on it and see a landing page or whatever, they see that I have my own podcast. It just says a lot without saying anything. Mm-hmm. So I think that's an interesting way, just practicing what you preach, I think is a good marketing strategy in a way.
Yeah. And for you too, it's like they go on your page, they're going to see that you do podcasts. They listen to it. They know, they start to get a feel for your personality. And the biggest thing is people buy people. Like people work with you because they like your personality, right? So it's like you just posting, you putting yourself out there is already making you stand out from your competitors who, again, don't do podcasts. And that's something that I preach to prospects or leads that come in. I'm like, look, you know, I'm beating dead horse here, but I was like, your Instagram page looks like all of your competitors. So if you want to stand out, I mean, just do something that they're not doing. And it's as simple as talking to the camera. I always tell people, I'm like, well, you want to provide value and just educational content on your page, which again, like with your podcast, like you have clips of people bringing valuable content. And I'm like, that goes so far for viewers that are just coming in, especially if they're cold leads that are coming in. They get a feel for who you are and like, oh, like, he actually taught me something today. I like this guy. You're nurturing the lead. Yeah. So that's something like I teach my clients that I work with is like, we want to nurture these leads that are coming in. And the fact that you're doing that and your competitors aren't, you're standing out right away. And also with the ad, I mean, having an ad is great, but what really is like icing on the cake is that strategy part. And a lot of people don't have strategy. It's not as simple as build it and they will come. It's just not that simple. You can have the best ad in the world, but if you don't know how to like follow up with those leads, you're just wasting your money, honestly. So a lot of people I talk to as well, I'm like, hey, have you ever tried running ads? They're like, yeah, but it didn't work. So I was like, well, why? They're like, oh, I didn't get any leads. I'm like, well, did you? I mean, like that's not having any strategy then. Like you boosted a post,
right? And
you're like, oh, like again, I built it and they're gonna come. It doesn't work like that. So again, yeah, having strategy is the key to the success of any ad that you run. Like I said, you just can't run an ad and hope that you're going to make $1 million. It just doesn't work like that. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know that. A lot of people think just boosting a post will bring in like work, but that's not how it works.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, two things that came to mind as you were saying that are, it's like you said, nurturing the lead. It's just providing value. And that, it sounds, it's like, well, duh, but sometimes you don't do that. You're just posting to post, but if you're actually thoughtful about it and you're educating and you can tell if people are being genuine or not. So that's one thing. And then the other thing is building trust. Like I think if you're running an ad to your Instagram page and you post a lot on there, people are going to spend time with you, prospective leads. That builds trust. If someone listens to a long form podcast episode with you and they don't know you, like it's almost like they just spent a lot of time with you and that builds trust and credibility through that. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I just think those are, regardless of how you implement them, those are just principles that you can apply in different ways as like providing value and building trust. And those are things that, I haven't done like a formal outbound strategy yet, but if I were to, I mean, something that I'm just trying to focus on as I'm like putting more effort into my personal brand, like preparing for the event, like, oh, if all my leads dry up and no one refers me anymore, like what am I going to do? Having a backup plan, which I think is important for any freelancer or any self-employed person, is you have to be thinking about those things. Like how can you provide value to leads and how can you build trust?
Yeah. Again, people buy people. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's exactly the mindset I had of why I started doing marketing, is because I'm like 99% word of mouth with my video business. I'm like, if that dries up tomorrow, like what am I going to do? So that's when I was like, oh, maybe I can run this kind of business. Maybe I can start another business. But I was like, but I have to learn. I don't have time to learn all these new things about how to run a completely different business. For example, I was like, oh, like what if I invest in storage units? What if I try to buy a laundromat? What if I try to start something? So I looked at it as, well, if I can do marketing, that's already kind of in my wheelhouse. I can film, like I know how to film and how to edit, things like that. So for me, I view my marketing part of my business as like at least I know I can like get 1 or 2 clients a month just doing this, versus word of mouth. I'm like, I'm not quite sure when my next job's going to come in. I'm 10 years in, I still have those thoughts of like, sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't know when my next job's going to come in. And like, that's, I don't want to be there. So the marketing was more to just have like a steady income.
Mm-hmm. And the more you excel at doing it for yourself and your clients, you're gonna get better and better at it, and it's a skill that's probably not going to die anytime soon in terms of like relevance. So
and it's fun.
Yeah.
And like, I think what's important is whatever you're doing, just make sure you're having fun with it. I've done another course, which was, at the time I was trying to make more money doing weddings. And I took another course to like scale my wedding business. And like that felt like homework. I was miserable. I was like stressed. I'm like, oh man, I don't ever want to do this. Whereas like what I'm doing now with like that marketing side of my business, like I'm having a lot of fun just kind of learning like the strategy and kind of learning. The best part is learning about other businesses, because even if they don't work with me, you know, I still get to know a little bit more about their business. And it's just fun to know how many businesses there are kind of like around this area, like really random ones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think the proximity thing is really effective. Like if you can run ads that are to local businesses, and if they say, oh, this guy's in Lancaster, he's not like across the country or like in New York or in Philly. It's like, this guy is a central PA guy. Like that, I think that builds credibility or I don't know.
Trust.
It's trust. It's more relatable right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, that's like, if anyone's seen my ad, I mean, I'm like, hey, when I address the audience, I'm like, hey, are you a service-based business here in Lancaster? I'm in Lancaster. Like you said, it really builds that trust. I'm like, oh, he's actually from Lancaster. He's not some dude from New York trying to work with us. And you know how Lancaster is. It's like a very tight-knit community. People like working with other, people in the community. It's funny. I got a lot of people, they ask me like, hey, like, is that AI for the background? Like, it looks like you, like, how did you get that shot in the city? I'm like, I was there. So it's kind of funny. I've had a few people ask me how they're like, how'd you get that background? How are you in a Central Market when it was empty? I'm like, I was there on a day Central Market wasn't open. Like, I don't know.
People just expect it to be someone not in Lancaster faking it to try to get clicks.
Yeah. Oh. So I will say my word of advice is depending on what kind of like ad strategy you want to run, but if whatever market you're addressing, it goes a really long way if you actually film your ad at that location.
Yeah, I love that. All right, final question. How do you define success, like in your career, or what are the things that are most important to you where, like at the end of the day, if you're doing this, whether it's like making sure that your clients are served well, that you're doing work that fulfills you, that you're having a sustainable career or growing, I know we were going to talk about like the parts of running a business. Like you can be a creative, but you have to like save for retirement and do all these things. So maybe that can be like a part of it, but just what things that are most important to you in terms of like defining a successful career?
I think for me, having a successful career just means, you're happy at what you're doing. So me personally, like I make enough to pay my bills and every day just doesn't feel like work. I'm excited to come to my office. I'm excited to edit these projects. I'm excited to go out and shoot. And for me, that's enough. Like I feel like I can live my life how I've always wanted to. For me personally, it's traveling. I'm able to travel. I'm able to come home and work. So for me, like I've made it. I don't know. I'm just blessed and happy to be able to do what I do. But outside of that, just live the life that I've always wanted to live. And I think that's what success is to me. It's not about like making as much money as you can, because money really doesn't bring you happiness. But it gives you a nice life. But yeah, so that's kind of like what success means to me. It's just, again, like to restate, it's just being happy doing what you're doing, but being able to live the life that you want to live.
Love that. Where can people find you if they want to hire you for your services or just reach out? Sure.
You can just check out my Instagram at Bamboo Shoots Media. That's it. Short and sweet.
Awesome. Keeping it simple. I feel like people can have like a ton of different links and handles and you're just like, okay, well, where do I go? But it's just one place and just keep it simple for people.
I just double down on what works. You stretch yourself too thin once you have a million different things going on.
Yeah, I love that. Well, Mark, thank you so much for your time. This exceeded my expectations. It was awesome. So thanks again. And I'm looking forward to following your journey and where you go from here. And it was a pleasure speaking with you.
Cool. Thanks for having me, man.